What is going on, everybody? My name is Brandon Perez, aka Louis V Titan. That's what most of you know me as. And I'm joined here today with Mr. Snow, Tools, Cass, and of course Nighty Night. Guys, we're going to be reacting to the competitive settings reveal. How do you guys feel about this so far? We're about 30 seconds out.
Oh, you already know, man. We are pumped. This is going to determine the future of Halo esports. And honestly, I'm in a good mood because I know they've got it down pat. They got some great minds over there at the 343 Studios. Been practicing this game nonstop for years, and they're ready to roll out with some big stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And Mr. Snow, our analytical mind, let me know your thoughts on the competitive settings and what we're about to see.
Yeah, man. I mean, this, like Alex, you just said, this is going to dictate, maybe not for, an extended period of time, but at least, when we see everybody at Rally, these most likely will be very, very close to this competitive settings that we're going to see. And what I'm most curious about is, we've got a lot of factors that go into these competitive settings. So, are we going to see stuff about the map in terms of what weapon timings are going to be or what weapons are on there, what maps are going to be played? Are we going to see stuff like, what's going to be starting equipment or, secondary weapons? Obviously, we're going to assume there's going to be no radar and things like that. But I'm really curious to see how deep they go with this.
Well, they just tweeted out, I don't know if it was too early or not. I don't know if you can grab that, but I don't want to be a spoiler over here. But Brandon, if you could maybe just flash it, but they tweeted it out.
Settings?
Yeah.
I think we save it for the reveal video. Let's not spoil our meal before we let's savor it.
I'm biting my tongue so hard right now. That's exactly what I want. It was beautiful.
All right, and then we got the man that brings the hype. We got Tools. We got 10 seconds, Tools. Let's hear your best.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Bravo, and I've snuck my way back inside the 343 Industries studio to check out a world premiere of ranked and competitive gameplay, and I have the two best gentlemen to do it with me here. It's L-Town Sal, of course, of the Competitive Insights team, longtime pro player. Great to be with you again, man. And also Andrew Witt's lead designer on Halo Infinite. Guys, it's great to be with you today. I want to jump right in because, like we said, the world premiere here of competitive and ranked settings, and we're going to have gameplay in just a moment. But before we get into that gameplay, Andrew, I'd love to talk a little bit about the philosophy of ranked and competitive gameplay for Halo Infinite.
We looked at competitive settings the same way that we looked at the rest of the game, like we kind of talked about it. We wanted to be very, very Halo to its core, right? And like uphold the pillars of Halo. We really wanted to make sure that this the competitive settings felt like competitive Halo, felt like home. Battle rifle starts only, no secondary weapon, no motion tracker, and no grenade hit ticks. So those are the baseline settings across the game. For maps, we have a static curated spawns. We've worked with the competitive insights team to make sure that the scavenging story on maps is really strong and facilitates map control. We want to make sure the team that wins is the team that should win.
Sure. You'll have to excuse me because I'm containing my excitement here, and I know a lot of fans of competitive Halo over the years will be really excited to hear about these settings too, and also to see them in action. So I think let's go ahead and jump right into the gameplay right now. Of course, L-Town, this is going to be your gameplay that you've been so kind to share with us. This is going to be a full Pro Team competitive insights gameplay, which is pretty cool to see kind of all of you guys who have been going at each other over the years,
they got their names.
playing a game
There we
now
go.
here of
Make
Strongholds
win
on
work.
those of you who've been playing in the Halo Infinite
Ares
Flight
is on the
weekends
team?
who, of course, have
You know this?
been able to get your hands on this exact game type, but we're going to now see it for the first time from a competitive POV with competitive settings,
God,
of course,
they have
also with
such
some pro
great
player
people on
point of view. So, Sal, walk us through the opening here, Strongholds on Recharge.
So this is Strongholds. Obviously, you have to go for the other Strongholds, but we're going for mid-control here and Camo.
What was that?
And my teammates are mid-map, kind of forcing those two players into me. I get the easy double. I get the triple as well.
Where is it?
And apparently I get the overkill too. Yes, I do.
Shit.
So
Finally.
not a bad start. Complete control, and now I'm capping C.
Not bad at all. Not bad
$2
at
million
all.
finalist.
I'm wondering, I mean, you know these guys pretty well. I don't know if any
they
like,
just
cash
revealed
was
these settings. They
exchanged
gotta
to, allow
show
you to
them
open
full.
up with an overkill
Right, it was
here
like a total
on this
feed.
world premiere of competitive gameplay, but excited to be able to look at this gameplay
Good,
here. I
good
think
job backing
one
off
of the
there,
first
waiting for
things
his
that we,
teammate.
of course, want to talk about is Stronghold as a game type. And you were just talking about game modes, Andrew, and the fact that we have a little bit of different scoring mechanics here, which make a big difference in terms of the end game.
Strongholds is returning from Halo 5. Really thought that it did very well in Halo 5 and it was well regarded by the competitive community.
Is
So
that
we wanna
guy
iterate
quieter
on it
than
in
Brock?
meaningful ways. And one of those meaningful ways is how to contest and how scoring works. In Strongholds, when you
With the
own two
Mauler,
zones,
is
you
that-
begin
you mean the
scoring.
Mangler?
And now if the enemy team
Yeah.
captures any progress
time
towards
to
one of
kill
your
about
zones,
1.5
it stops your scoring.
Or no, almost 2
So
seconds.
that way, you need to
Two shots.
absolute control over all of your captured zones to continue scoring.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great change, and anyone who
Yeah.
played a lot of Halo 5 or watched a
It's
lot of Halo 5
slow.
Strongholds will
Coulda got that
remember
kill.
scenarios where they had all the pieces in place to maybe get a perfect comeback, and even though they were halfway through the
Now,
cap
did we
on
get
that
a chance to
Stronghold, they
play with
needed,
this?
as
in
you
the
called it,
fights?
like the drip time allowed the other team to win, and it felt a little bit anticlimactic. So I think a lot of people have already seen
Yo,
in the Halo Infinite
I
fights,
hope-
the ability to stop everything on the
I
dot.
hope we do.
and
I
come
hope we
back
get another flight,
is pretty fantastic to see. Another thing we'll talk about here, of course, is equipment. Sal, we're already seeing you kind of use that.
I've actually
equipment and
been
make
playing
sure
with
that you're
these
using
exact same
probably
settings on Halo
everywhere you
5
need to be
in
on
the,
map right now.
Yep, just
Feels
making
great.
sure I'm getting resets and Strongholds and helping my team by getting those quick flanks and quick routes.
Another thing we should talk about, of
Oh, it's got
course,
no
is, like,
range.
A big piece of this that we're going to see is just the fact that we
That's
have
good to
motion
know,
tracking
though, 'cause that
disabled
thing
and
would've
how
been
that
OP.
impacts moment-to-moment gameplay throughout the entirety of competitive play. You're going to see a lot of examples of that, of course, in this game, but we should talk, guys, Andrew, I'll start with you, just about the decision there and just how much that impacts the gameplay.
Yeah, we really wanted the game to be as competitive as possible, working with the competitive insights team to kind of make sure we measure up in that regard. And
This is a pretty
part of it
decent
was, one of the
oddball
things we
Stronghold
wanted to
game
kind of
type,
focus
or
on was
map.
awareness, right? Awareness and communication being really pivotal to which is the better team that wins. So that's why we pursued that direction, and you'll see a lot of the outcomes here in terms of how that rolls.
Yeah, absolutely. Sal, you put it best when we were talking earlier, just before we started recording, just talking about information earned and the fact that
Given versus earned,
Yeah,
yep.
absolutely. Just how important that is.
Yeah, so we wanted players to actually have to go out of their way and get info themselves versus like an indicator or UI telling you where players are and how weak they are. So it's just more awareness and more skills and more thought process on this.
Yeah, absolutely. As we take a look here,
Yo, these are some land
70
shots.
to 56, still a pretty close game here. As you're going to go ahead and get another reset here, but you guys are doing pretty well in terms of just ability to continually rotate and collapse on the opponent as well.
Yep, just using some good comms here, collapsing on Stronghold together, and nice bait and switching going on right here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think another thing we should talk about too, as you're going to go ahead and get this kill back, Hydro, you're going to be able to pick up. We're going to see some sword and some equipment play, so this is probably a good opportunity to talk about some of the equipment balance in the game.
So right here I pair Repulsor and Sword
Yeah.
to get some creative shortcuts.
The Mario
in there.
bounce.
That guy had no idea. So that movement, that shortcut, mixed in with no motion tracker, just allows you to make crazy plays like that, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many pieces to talk about there. Just the fact that you can creatively go from bottom middle, all the way up to top A, like that with the sword. Like you said, if someone is watching motion tracker in a competitive setting, they're going to be watching that doorway. That play doesn't really happen in those settings, so it's pretty fantastic to see. And by the way, everyone's just running away from you with their heads down at this point in the game.
Looks like it's pretty balanced, though.
Even more kills, but that brings us perfectly, actually, to a Camo pickup. And the first thing we'll talk about here is just the new mechanic, Andrew, of course. People have seen it, but it's worth talking to you as lead designer on the decision there, of course, in conjunction with the sandbox team to make sure that the Camo is actually pocketable and you can determine when you want to activate it.
Yeah, the sandbox team did an awesome job working on the power equipment in this game, and so being able to pocket power equipment and it taking the spot of other equipment really brings more agency in terms of how you want to use these items to your advantage, right? And also hard decision making.
The sword's purely invisible.
Making a million decisions, like having a million decisions to do it in a given second, right? And what's the best one? And this kind of adds to that, right? Is do I swap grapple shot for overshield? And do I use it now and then pick the grapple shot back up? What do I do?
Yeah, it definitely seems that they are trying to fully utilize the sandbox of,
do I mark it for the other teammates to kind of pick up and contest with me? These are the kind of questions we asked of ourselves.
You know, their whole philosophy, right, was give these weapons all different roles, and hopefully that stays true.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible to see. Just, you know, the term equipment on its own in the history of competitive Halo has been kind of a term that has
can't read the red. No mercy.
How does equipment fit or not fit into competitive Halo? So to see how much it's not only being accepted, but I would even say embraced with things like clips on Twitter, Twitch, etc.
I feel like it's the same.
It's been pretty amazing. I'd love to talk about that.
Yeah, I just feel like it's the frames.
Philosophy of how you found this.
Well, the capture is faster.
The equipment that's in the game that gives players so much creativity.
We wanted to make sure that the equipment added to the skill of the game, right? That's the skill gap and then the skill ceiling. So the combinatory effects of, like we saw before with Sal, with the repulsor as well as the energy sword, right? Like the ability to traverse the map the way he did adds that skill, both for newcomer players and also pro players like themselves. Like the experimentation and the expression was really important for us.
You gotta check that corner now, no radar.
And them fitting in with everything else in the sandbox.
Let's see them try to take it from us.
Sure, here's another Camo pickup. Sal, you guys have really been on top of that Camo and activated immediately. And probably the most interesting thing to talk about there, right, is the lack of grenade hit markers that player would have had in that situation.
Yep, exactly. So that player actually had no idea
grenade
how much
hit,
damage he was actually
hit
doing,
markers
or
is
if he was
great.
even hitting them.
I know.
It's going to force people to talk so much more. It's going to give you a lot more survivability, too.
My play right there was to make him waste as much time as possible and
I'm so happy that's
put him in a spot where
back.
my teammates could get the cleanup.
Grenades were just OP, right?
Absolutely, and that's a situation that plays out completely differently with both motion tracker and grenade hit markers on. Also forces that player to even spend those grenades, right? So it really changes the way that plays out. It allows you to have so much more power as a player there. You're burning Camo, you're spending that player's grenades, and you're also taking that player out of the situation. There's probably at least going to be a trade there.
A little bit of
really
work
changes the way that all plays
I
out.
see that guy, I think he used the grapple to get around
Another
the
thing I'd love to
corner
talk
real
about
fast.
here is we see more continuous control from Sal and Team Andrew. Is also just a dynamic between.
I like how
the
nades don't get
VR
stuck on
utility weapon that so many
stairs
players would be
anymore.
Excited to see, but we're also seeing Sal use a lot of Mangler. We're
Like, I
seeing
mean,
some Commando.
that's the way it
How
should
do
be
you
in
guys
real life,
really
but
thought about the dynamic between this utility.
I'm interested
weapon
as
is
to
really
what their
important
decision
and
for no
is such a core
secondary
part of the
was.
gameplay.
Like,
However,
I felt like the
weapons on
sidekick was a
battlefield are
really
also
good
pieces
secondary that could have added a lot of depth
Yeah,
to
I
the
think the
game.
sandbox team did a really excellent job of making sure that
But
all the
I'm not
weapons have
gonna
a specific
cry
role.
over it. You know, I think single
Battle
BR
rifle being
starts
a
is
utility
fine.
weapon is
I
really
just think
important
having
to
a gun that's
for
like
players to
really
be
good up
viable
close
off
versus the
spawn,
BR
them
would be
having
nice.
expression off of spawn.
Yeah.
But we didn't want to have
That's where the BR struggles the
scavenging is
most
so
is up
important in the
close.
game, right? And so we wanted
I think they want to
keep on
force
having them
BR
scavenge the
battles,
battlefield.
and
How we
like
did
they
that
want to
was we
force you
took
to
away
go
that
hunt.
secondary weapon slot and
Yeah.
have it be free, so it's only the battle rifle off
That's
of
what I was
spawn.
just going to say.
And
Like,
so
I think that
optimizers
there's just
will
better weapons
wanna
on the
fill their
map, and so
inventory
you're
filling
already starting
pockets
with a
in
great
order
weapon
to be able to be as
right?
effective as
And
they
that
possibly
you're
can
already
in
going to be
match.
comfortable
So going with
at
that
that range,
scavenging story
but
of the
if you
map
want to
being
make
very
real
curated
progress
with
and get some
very
more
specific
quote-unquote power
items and toys
weapons,
in the map,
those are going to
and,
already
filling up that
outshine
their inventory is super important.
Magnum, so
See, but like then they have like the needler, like the needlers on the map, and like I don't know. It's like I would rather have a side. I haven't seen a sidekick on the map yet. And it's like, well, if you're not gonna give it to us right there, like why not put it on like where that needler is and like let a sidekick be there and be useful.
Pretty ideal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hot take,
See
but
what happens with it.
I don't think we really need
At
it.
this point, of course, it's right now.
I just think it's a great
16
utility
to
weapon.
137.
I think it's
One
really
thing worth talking
balanced
about with that
in the
new
way
scoring
that it'll be
mechanics out
used.
is
Like it's like an up close
gotta
weapon.
test
It's
strong
really
weapons, see how you play this
a
one.
secondary
Okay,
utility
well done.
weapon. Like those are the kind of
takes down
weapons
the
that
first player
people
and
have
go ahead and
generally
finish that
liked in competitive Halo, right? Is the weapons that you can pick up that are used for whatever reason you need.
That was only recently, like maybe
quite a delta between the scores
I guess
in the game.
Halo 5,
you really
really
can't take your foot off the gas.
Like
Whereas
I
in
said,
Halo
I
5,
think it was
you might be a
liked
little
in
more
Halo 5.
because you know you have, as long as you have control with X amount of time.
But throughout the
you're probably
history of
gonna win the
Halo, it
game.
hasn't
The
really
ability
been
to
the case.
Stop everything, like we said
Right,
earlier,
which is I think that was a
will just
departure
step
that Halo
into
5
Strongholds.
made
Kinda changes the way
that I thought was
everything
well
late
received.
game of
Yep.
Strongholds.
Especially with the new rule set where you could contest and stop the pausing for a little bit. Like you
Yeah,
can't,
but
like,
you know,
take
this
your
is
foot
just
off
the
gas. You
beginning.
gotta
This is
try
only
to
the
close out the game here,
the
so
start of the
just
settings.
making sure we keep up
There's
the
going to be a
calm,
lot of
teamwork,
tweaking.
just pushing Strongholds together.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've done it
It's interesting
so
that
well. Take a look at this play as well.
I haven't really
You're
seen a
gonna
lot
go
of
ahead and
Commando
grab
play out of
it.
these guys yet. It's definitely on the map.
Lucky.
I think the BR just
Indeed,
like
but
overpowers the
it's just
shove
worth
at once
noting
you're
the fact that you do
playing
have
against
kind of that
extremely good
creativity, right?
players.
I mean, never has there been in competitive Halo a moment like that where you could fly out of a door and
The time to
fly
kill with
into
the
an
Commando
entryway like
is
that
so much
and be able to
shorter.
just set up a
Is it
play
really?
like that. So it's pretty
Like less
Yeah,
than
if you hit
a
your
second.
shots,
see. And
like
fact
the
that
BR
it
is the
just- it
slowest
balanced the way that it
kill
was,
out of all the
I'm
guns,
sure it was
out of all
quite
the
a
arrow,
challenge,
like
for a
all
long
the
time, I'm sure.
rifles. And I
Yeah,
think
we
Commando,
tested a lot of different
like I was
things, a lot
saying
of different
about the pistol,
settings,
like the
but
Commando
we
is
wanted to
just
make sure that the
supreme, up
things that
close
the
and
grapple
personal, you know?
And really all the
The
equipment
two-shot beatdown
had that expression
was sick.
element, right? The things that are powering all those clips that you're seeing on the internet.
Like, especially if I was playing C to A
gleefully
right here,
seeing
I'd
that,
want a
we wanna
Commando
make sure
because
that,
you're mostly going
it's
to be
important for
playing
expression with
close range
equipment.
fights.
I want to do this, I want to do this and this. I want to repulse somebody
this
and
baby.
then follow up with
Yeah,
with
I
that
think this has
mango
been
melee.
their
Things that I wanna
utility
put somebody
weapon.
into a wall, knock them off the map. Expression is just paramount for some of the designs we've done in this game.
Certainly, I've seen some expression in the forms of being repulsed off the back of Silo there by the hammer many times in matchmaking. I've also been on the receiving end of overshield grappling hammer players on Behemoth, so I've definitely seen different forms of that expression getting the better of me.
Nice.
That's a
throughout
one
these
shot.
weekends.
I wonder if that guy was
Take
weak.
a
I
look
wonder
at
if
these
it's a
last few
one
seconds here,
shot to
Sal
punch
closing it
kill.
out. I think we're going to
Yep,
see
definitely.
in just a moment. You guys close this
Two
out.
shots
Some
to kill.
celebratory needler shots to end the game. What
Nailed
better
it.
way to finish a match as well? 250 to 170 is our
what
final
I'm
score
thinking.
there.
Who
so
was the
you
most
guys
cracked pro?
ended out on top. A pretty strong performance.
Had to be
Appreciate it.
Miquin.
We'll go ahead and take a look at the post-game Carnage report too, because there's some sweet PGCR stats, and some people will have seen a little bit of.
I was
this
playing
in
against him in
post-game
the
Carnage reports
Halo
in
5
flighting, but,
Infinite
a few
Customs
things
we've been
that are
playing on
worth
PC,
highlighting
and
here. Of course,
he's
your overkill.
so
On
good.
top of that, you got some cool things here in terms of defensive
Come on, move
kills,
it over.
offensive
Oh, look at
kills,
that
also
offensive and
things like
defensive
max
kills
free, which
there.
I mentioned
21 and
earlier,
10.
but there's some newcomers as
South.
well.
L-Town.
Returning stats
L-Town,
like shots
man.
hit,
Woof.
versus shots fired, but also one that you and I were talking about is also damage taken, which is
They're
a
playing
Shot
That's
34%.
Assault.
Because that is
Assault,
like
Gregor.
tells a real story. Because some players might have the most kills, but they're actually
Damage
not having the
taken,
most
yes.
kills on the map.
I've been
So
wanting
damage
this
taken is part of
forever.
that story where a person could
important.
be causing chaos and getting shot at from every
Very
window.
interesting. The
Actually,
damages range from 3K to
For
5K.
example, like Austin might have more kills, but I could be taking more damage.
Seemed like
So I'm
5K was
making it
the
easier for him,
typical.
you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And
Right.
as a commentator, as an analyst, the fact that we now have a piece of that story, if you think of the hundreds of thousands of hours of competitive Halo gameplay that have taken place, just the fact that we've never really had the story, Andrew, of damage taken and what that was for each match. So the fact that looking at Halo Infinite tournaments, we're going to have stats like that is pretty cool to be able to see a piece of a Halo match that we've never really had the story of before.
Yeah, it's just all this conversation around stats and PGCR just kind of makes me really happy because ultimately that's what this whole feature is for, right? Is to tell the story of the match of not only how did you do, how did your team do, how did the enemy team do, right? Where do you
These
need
guys
to,
telling stories,
improve,
the
right? Or
story
how
of the
could you done
match. I
things
love it.
better?
I love that philosophy.
Really, that whole story is,
I guess
why
top two
features
on
like
his
this
right arm.
exist, and so that we're sitting here talking about like nuanced stats and things like that. It's like it's really good, just like being in this moment in time, how close we are to launch.
Totally, yeah. I think it gets us excited. I'm sure so many viewers as well of this video getting kind of excited about those nuanced little details, just like you say. L-Town, I'll start with you. Any closing words as we take a look at your gameplay here and show off competitive and ranked gameplay to the world?
Honestly, I'm just excited for everyone to get their hands on this. We worked hard, and I hope everyone's happy with the settings we landed on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, likewise. Myself and the rest of the team, we worked on this for a while. Really excited to see folks, get their hands on it. Right, the flights have been really exciting for us, really invigorating for us to see the response and all the feedback. Right, it's the same thing here. We're really excited to see what the competitive community does with this game, with these settings, to see what they're able to accomplish in matches. Right, see what ranked is like, see what HCS is like. All this is just super great right now. It's a good time to be a Halo fan.
Yeah, it is. As a Halo fan and on behalf of the whole community, I just want to thank you both for the amount of time, love, effort you've put into this game. because it is already showing in the flighting, in the excitement for the game, and it was so special for me to play such a small role in sitting with you two, with all the amount of work you've put into this game to be part of this competitive reveal.
Settings
really
are going to be
special for me,
sick.
so thank you both. There's going to be more information on HaloWaypoint.com on competitive settings. And
We
you
just
can
need really good
follow
maps.
on even more details there. Of course, stay tuned to @Halo on Twitter as well as HaloWaypoint for even more as we get ready. Of course,
Yeah,
and
honestly,
also
I mean, the
at
maps
HCS
play
as
such
we
a
get ready for the
big,
first Halo
such a big
tournament shortly
factor
after
in my
launch as
opinion
well.
about
Oh yeah.
It's going
how
to do it
these
for us
settings
for
will
now.
work,
From the 343 live stream
That's
studio,
why,
it's been a
like,
pleasure showing off competitive gameplay, and
I
we'll see
keep
you
coming
on
back to
December.
games like the old Halos, and why I keep coming back to Overwatch, Valorant, because the map design is so beautiful. So with those settings in mind, if we get some solid competitive maps, this game could be the best Halo. Oh, God, it's so beautiful what we're getting right now. It is a good time to be a Halo fan, just like he said.
What excites me too, or what makes me feel happy or confident that this will be pretty good right off the bat is that, you know, during those flights, these maps are actually really, really big. And, you know, the sidekick, we were all starting off with that and the AR, and those you
Right.
really had to be much closer. So the BR, you know, you're going to be able to utilize the full range of the map. And as we talked earlier, we're really going to be fighting for some of those power weapons, some of those closer up ones like the sword. And with the added utility of some equipment, some mobility there, like this is going to make hopefully a really like wide range of engagements. You got your long range with your VR, and then nice and close with some of these power weapons.
I'm skimming through this article right now, just looking at because they go way more in depth on the article. So if anyone is wanting to really get in and see why they made the decisions that they did, it's interesting. The one thing I kind of wish. Well, one is the sidekick starts. I think that they would have been pretty fun. I understand why they didn't do them. And man, I've been listening. Most of people that came up in Halo 5 really enjoyed the HCS radar, because not only did it allow you to, like if someone was sprinting or firing, you see them, but what was more important is that it showed you your teammates' positions at all time, which isn't as big of a deal in Halo Infinite because you can see your teammates through walls. And you got full outlines, but getting up, spawning, looking at your radar and knowing instantly where your teammates are, really, I felt like sped up the game for a lot of players and allowed them to make more decisive moves straight off spawn. Now it's going to be more of a communication thing, and teams that have better communication are going to be better, and that could be a skill gap in its own. But I'm curious about that change. I know Frosty was a big advocate for keeping the radar that was in Halo 5. What I'm really hoping, I think these settings are great. What I'm really hoping is that HCS has learned from 2016, 2017, and the pros are like, yeah, I think this ought to change. I think they should try it pretty fast, not go an entire year of playing the same settings, and really be open to adopting change when the pros think it's necessary.
Oh, this is much better. I like that they really just got this down. Fair starts, players start the match. Yeah, this is all like the basics to what Halo is at its core. And it's like, let's consider, why did we need radar? You talk about obviously starting off and knowing where your teammates are, but that all goes with, like you said, communication and awareness. And it's like, that is something that needs to be acquired if you want to be at the top. And that's what needs to be a part of the competitive settings. Grenade hit markers, same deal. You have grenade hit markers in social, that's fine, but take them out in the competitive. It adds to the awareness factor. You have to have good awareness if you're going to be a top player in the world. And that's the part of competitive play. Those are the differences. That's the thing that you need to separate when you're talking about this. And another thing about radar is the abilities that we saw in Halo 5. We had the obvious, the ability to do the charging from a long way away with the sword was an instant kill. You were able to do the ground pound from long range, and with the radar you could dodge those. It was the counter to it. Now you don't need the counter. The sprinting is very minute now. It only has a 10%, 15% increase in movement speed, and in fact, I would be down to test without sprint, because I'm an old head, because you can up the speed, the base movement, and it might be pretty darn awesome for competitive play. We don't know yet. We haven't had a chance to test it out. So we don't really need the radar anymore, in my opinion.
I just think it's what you prefer, in my opinion, when it comes to radar. Because like we could have a radar that doesn't even show you your enemies and just shows you your teammates, and I think that would be a great addition. Although, you know, like I said, it's a skill gap thing. I think that we'll see that debate rage on Twitter for the next couple months, because I know there are pro players that feel very strongly that no radar isn't exactly the move, and that having the radar that shows your teammates' positions, that shows when enemies are firing, is a really great addition. And we'll see what their perspectives are like, and if they're gonna really make that push for having radar on the team, for having radar on the settings. But I think right now, as it stands, this is a great, you know, this isn't Halo 5 where it's so radically different than anything else before. This is like tried and true. We know this is going to be fun to play with off the bat, and then tweaks can be made down the line that'll enhance the game. We're not going to have the problem where we're playing settings that most of the people don't like for 2 years.
I do wish we could see the game type extraction return. That's one thing that I was kind of hoping was gonna. That was like the big one for me, as far as like a question mark, because everything else I'm pretty confident in, as far as the HCS team and 343 really nailing down the competitive settings. I just feel like the addition of like an elimination type, objective type, extraction game, that it's just an amazing addition to Halo. I had a ton of fun with it in Halo 4. It was absolutely the best thing to come from that game, and if we saw the return of it, I think it would really help Halo Infinite in its lifespan, because it's just so unique, and I haven't seen it in any other games. So it's obviously like a search and destroy-esque, but not really. It's with Respawn, and it just gets so hyped. So I was really hoping to see that. Maybe we'll see it in the future. But, you know, we got the old faithfuls. We got Slayer, CTF, Stronghold, and Oddball. And there's also been an argument to take Slayer out. So there's also that as well.
Reading through this article, I saw something interesting about Strongholds, because I was curious about what tweaks they made to Strongholds. One thing that they did is when you're scoring, it's not a neutralization factor, but when you have the majority of a stronghold and you're in it, it'll stop the scoring for that time being. So if you're at like 1 point to lose and you get it 3/4 of the way, the scoring will stop until you capture it. So the comeback mechanics and Strongholds seem stronger than ever with those additions. So it'll be really interesting to see what kind of changes that'll make. I think Strongholds, in my opinion, is probably the strongest game mode out of Halo 5. I just felt like it offered so much variety, especially with the speed of Halo 5 and the rotations you can make, manipulating the spawns as you did in that game. I think it'll be really interesting to see how it plays come December 18th in Raleigh.
I feel like there's going to be different iterations. Snow touched on this a little bit, is that this is the beginning, and it's going to be the closest thing we see at Raleigh, but it's probably not going to be the final thing that we see, because we're going to have opportunities to play on it before the event. There's going to be a qualifier. You know, we're going to see shows probably popping up and get to see this in full effect. So there might be tiny adjustments here and there, but looking at it from right off the bat, I couldn't be happier personally. I don't think there's going to be too much that we need to switch up. I do like the balance of the weapons. I like that they're forcing BR fights, and also we haven't really seen how the rockets can do compared to the sword. You know, or do we want to keep the sword, or do we want to go the rocket route? Have the rockets on these maps, because I mean it's not too bad having 4 rockets on, say, a map like Recharge, but we'll have to see what kind of maps come out and what we're dealing with. Obviously, we're not going to have Forge for a year or so. So really banking on having these competitive maps be something special.
What's crazy to me to think about is that the game's going to come out on the 8th, right? And then everyone's going to have a week and a half before Raleigh to play with these settings. And to kind of touch back a little bit on the no radar element with communication, you know, I wonder how communication in this game will evolve over time, or in how it'll initially come out the gate, because it will have to evolve in some sense if you're going to be more responsible for telling your teammates like what's going on in the game when you don't have that radar. So I'm really curious like what the grind looks like for teams over that week and a half, because it's such a short period of time, and how obviously their gameplay and their strats evolve, but also, you know, how their communication changes too.
It's going to be a really interesting time. And, you know, one thing that was kind of brushed over is that we're going to have ranked mode right out the gate. So be ready to grind. Basically, day one, you're going to be able to be on competitive settings, playing against the best players, figuring out kind of where you stack loosely, where you stack against everyone. And I'm pretty sure we'll probably see some team changes for on those top AM squads, lower AM squads the day before, because someone's matchmaking ranking is this much higher and they're like, oh my God, they're cracked. They're beating pros left and right. It'll be definitely really interesting to see. I'm excited just to be able to get on the game day one and play some ranked.
Yeah, the new faces are going to be huge. New faces are the biggest part of a new Halo. Like we saw Snipe down in Halo 3. He'd been grinding it out all during Halo 2. I'd been playing with him a ton, and then he needed to get that one chance, and he finally got it at the first Halo 3 event. And he just exploded and became the biggest thing ever in Halo. And that's what we're waiting for. Are we going to see somebody like that? Just, you know, a mouse and keyboard player maybe come out and just be like dominant with the sniper, does not miss shots, and just pulls off the most ridiculous things we've ever seen in Halo's history because of the mouse, you know? Like, I don't think we've really touched on the input yet, but I'm pretty sure it's in there. Pretty sure they're going to be able to use mouse at the highest level. So that's something for me that I'm very excited about. Where are these new talents going to arise, and how many are there going to be? Like, that's big stuff.
Absolutely. I hope that it's viable for sure. Mouse and keyboard, I think, is a whole new world for Halo, and I would love to see it actually properly integrated. I do want to transition the conversation over to
talk about too as you're
some replays here. Let me kill this audio for a second. But this first play, this is going to be the repulsor sword combination. All right, and I think combinations are going to be huge in this game. Obviously, the movement meta just changed for this man. Right, he was able to go from bottom mid to A in seconds, right? What are your thoughts on this, Nighty?
This is huge, and this is the reason why you want to make sure that you're always picking this up, because not only does it have this type of movement capability, but you can also push people back. You can push grenades back. You can counteract rockets. It is a power item. Like, don't be fooled by this thing. You've got to be timing it. You got to make sure that you have it, because it's going to change games. It's a big thing. It's new, you know. It's like the grapple hook. It's brand new, and you know, players are going to have to get adjusted to how they're going to want to use it. But yeah, it's going to be absolutely essential pickup. You do not want to make sure that you're just leaving it around. Having that kind of potential to be able to just jump up to A like that. I mean, think about what he would have had to done. He would have had to gone up those stairs, gone up the flank behind A, and grappled behind A. Now, that's just to say that maybe he wasn't even seen. Maybe the enemy team didn't see him, and he would have got lucky and got a good flank off, but that still doesn't guarantee much. Now, what does that guarantee? That he's able to pop up, that he's able to contest that immediately, that he has a sword. First of all, that helps big time, but he can still jump in as fast as possible, and it speeds up the objective efficiency. Like, look at this. Boom, boom, he's in A. That's literally a second compared to having to walk up the stairs, sprint up, clamber up behind, and get behind the team. They could have already capped and been on their way rotating to C by now. But he's up in their grill. You know, regardless if he did have a BR or not, it still would have been super effective had he had his teammates help, and it would have just changed the entire outcome of this game. It's a win or lose type scenario that you can be in, and this thing absolutely changed everything.
Well, and so looking at this again, right, that player who came in, he obviously, well, I don't want to say obviously, but it looks like he heard that player use the repulsor and get up there, or somebody was there. But he obviously didn't know he had the sword. So that's an element, right, of that communication. Like, how do you know who's making that play and who's not? So that's, I think the good teams are going to be able to recognize that. and basically say, okay, I need to back down and fortify this. But obviously the sword player played that right? He just chilled there, potentially waited for his teammates to flank, possibly drawing their attention. So the combos, you mentioned that, Brandon, like this reminds me of like fighting games when you just have like combos that you hit off. But in this case, obviously we have weapons, the equipment's in there, different elements of the movement. And I think the repulsor in particular, obviously they've got that combo that we just saw, but as you said, you can deflect grenades, you can deflect plasma pistol shots, you can move enemies to like a different line of sight, you can actually back yourself out of an engagement if you need to. I think the repulsor is going to be one of those pieces of equipment that's going to be highly sought after, more so than the rest.
Can you?
That's the knowledge that you have
Brandon?
to have.
Yeah, what are you trying to say?
Picks up the
Space
sword.
it.
I want to
Okay.
go like where he picks up the sword itself. So like go way back. I want to
He
see.
doesn't have
no,
it
you're
here
good.
yet.
I want to see what his secondary is because I didn't notice this during the game, but this secondary is interesting that he has in his back pocket right here. We'll see it when he pulls it out.
It was kind of like that
think-
Mauler looking gun, right? But
It's
there's
not a Mauler.
Oh no, this is
Right.
that's
that's
See, that's
not what I
was
thought
that?
it
like
was.
yeah, that's why I thought maybe it was a skin, but then I was like, I
See
don't
if he
think that's a
uses
Mauler
it
at
at
all.
all.
I'm trying to remember if he used it during the
Yeah,
because he
we'll go
definitely
back
picked it
and
up at
see.
some point.
Yeah,
Is that a sidekick skin?
No, it had a
No.
different reticle.
Oh,
I wonder where he picked it up in the first place.
huh.
there we go. He had it up for a
Yeah,
second
Cinder.
there.
Cinder shot,
No.
is it? No.
Yeah, it
Did he spawn?
Oh no,
Is it the cinder
disruptor.
Nah, I don't think it's the cinder shot.
disrupt.
I want to see where he picked it up because we were
Okay.
only on his POV.
Hey, he
Right?
hasn't shot the weapon.
Hold on here.
No.
I think I got a video here of it. It's,
Did he spawn with it?
At that time,
Nah, no
like
shot.
The 40,
He had to pick it up
45
somewhere.
mark there on that video.
Yeah, they said specifically that there's no secondary weapon.
Yeah.
I think it's
Oh, it's
Oh,
on
there
the
it
wall
is.
right there.
Right
Wait,
there.
okay, we got to pause it when it says what its name is. Hold, we got a frame to do this, Brandon. Let's do it.
We can make it. We can make it easy on ourselves.
Slow.
There was no indication.
Yeah, he's way too
Nothing.
Look at that though. What an interesting looking
It's
gun.
got nails.
Oh no, go back. I saw it. Disruptor. It's
It
on
is
the bottom
disruptor,
right of your
yeah.
screen when he picks it up.
Yeah.
Oh.
It fires. It's got about a 2-second time to kill. It's like a medium range kind of gun. It looks like it's like electric almost.
Mm-hmm. Disruptor.
The disruptor.
Huh.
Looks like
So
a
I
single
wonder
shot.
if that acts like the grenade, where you can chain
Like the arc
chain
energy?
link.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it'll do damage to multiple people if they're close enough to each other.
Yeah. Pretty cool weapon right there. We did see an invis pickup as well, right? So I want to see if the invis time is any different here in competitive than it is in
Like how
matchmaking, right?
long-
Yeah.
Like
What
how
was
long
it? 20
it's
seconds?
active for.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So here we are.
Yeah, it's like 2025.
He
because
popped it at
you were able to
22.
activate it.
Yeah, we'll see when it runs out here. But yeah, as you mentioned, Nighty, completely invis when walking with sword.
Yep. That's gonna be huge. It's really vital to have that. And another thing is like, it's able to just like let you sit still, because like if that sword was just really just glowy, I mean they're gonna be able to see you across the map. But now you can be an actual hunter hunting around the map.
It was 30 seconds. Is that any different than?
That's about on point as the
Okay.
flight.
We think that's a little long, or we like that 30 seconds?
I think 30
it's
seconds
right
is
on.
fine. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
I think what was it, a minute in Halo 5? Felt like
Right.
It was long. in
45.
Halo
It was a
5.
minute,
It
but
was
the
so
moment you picked it
long.
up, right, it was on. Now you
Right.
can save it, so they took half of it away.
Yep.
Yeah. It definitely feels like short. It feels like utility rather than a power up. You know what I'm saying? Like these days, like I feel like the camo is like this thing that you had to play for, because it's so short. Like 30 seconds, like you're gonna make one good play off 30 seconds with a camo.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it only has one charge too. Like it's not like the repulsor or the grapple where you have added utility for a couple times, right?
Would be interesting is if they kept like a timeshare. Like you had 30 seconds, so you could activate it and turn it off when you want. That'd be so interesting.
Ooh.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be like the Predator.
That would be sick.
Might be a little OP.
Yeah.
Well, they made it so it took a while to put on and off. I don't know, man. It'd be be interesting. Plus, you'd
That was
see
a good
the camo
prediction,
on
Nate,
the
right
map, way more often.
But people can still see you though, so.
Yeah,
It's like right here. Like he I don't know if he got a call out or just was like predicting, but that was a great prediction, Nate, from No Mercy. And that's it. That's really the difference maker. Like on radar, that'd have been a easy one, but instead that No Mercy was able to really get a good play there.
Yeah, and then I want to move on. We have the grapple shot play here, where I think it's kind of just reiterating, right? The equipment here is largely for movement purposes, right? And this was a bit of a fail here. Yeah, he made his way into A to contest, right, but was unable to make the play. So very interesting.
Is that the disruptor?
He had the disruptor in hand. That was the disruptor pushing out. I thought it was the shock rifle when I saw it originally.
Oh, bro, that looked like a headshot. That was so close. That was a shoulder. Like he just hit him in the shoulder right there. Man,
So he's getting shot with the disruptor.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's definitely the disruptor that's shooting him.
Is that
Just a narrow
is that
miss.
a team nade right there? Did that get him at all? That nade.
So there is friendly fire though.
Right.
No, he's getting
there's
shot
gonna
in
be
the
friendly
back.
fire.
He's getting shot
I
in the
don't-
back too, so it looks like he's
Yeah, he's getting BR'd in the back.
Yeah,
There's
he
someone
is.
sitting in that back corner over there. That seems like
In fact, I think
other
that's the
teams
guy that
set
kills him.
that up a lot, by the way. Because we saw when he came in with his sword, like this was a common strategy the other team was using, was one person in hill and then one person on the top left corner behind him, and they could just melt whoever comes in.
Yeah, I don't think that disruptor kills him.
Is that the disruptor? Or is that other weapon, like the shock rifle?
Let's see what's in the kill feed.
You mean that laser?
Look, no, it is a
That-
shock rifle,
no.
right?
Yeah, that is a shock rifle.
So
okay, so he died by
it's
the
not
shock
the
rifle.
disruptor. Yeah, interesting still though.
I think it looks scary when it's shooting at you, though.
Here's
Different
another.
weapons were on this map. There was a
Yeah, it felt very limited at first, but yeah, there actually is quite a variance of combinations here that we're seeing. I'm gonna
shock
move to
rifle
here.
spawns up
Right,
right
this
here.
was I believe a 2-shot beatdown, or at least one
Yes.
one of the kills in this play here.
It was a perfect 2-shot beatdown.
Was that it right there?
No metal.
1, 2.
All right, so
Yep. So he gets this perfect.
all lands.
First
all
shot.
Three.
yeah, all three here.
That guy has the. Man, I think scary when it's shooting at you.
Boom.
All right, so
Couldn't have been any more perfect.
2-hit beatdown right there, right?
Yes, sir.
And then I think we have another one here in the future where we were.
Yeah, it's a.
Oh, that with that weapon. Okay, right.
Yep. 1-shot beatdown.
No, I think he's a little. You look at his right kneecap when he comes. His right arm.
Oh, he's recharging.
Oh,
actually,
no, that's
maybe-
repulsor.
That's
that's
just
an
the
equipment.
repulsor. That's
That's
just
an
the
equipment.
repulsor on his hand. Yeah, so it is
Nah,
a
yeah.
1-shot beat down.
Yeah, for sure. Yo, can we talk about how unfair these teams are?
That was a pretty close game. I think
yeah,
L-Town
Assault
was just going crazy.
and Midwin and L-Town.
Here's the
And
moment of
Harris.
truth, right? The
Oh, that's
stats don't
Hines.
lie,
Earless Zoo. Earless Zoo is Hines.
right?
Earless
All right, so
Zoo.
I gotta
But
put
that
it
is
here.
the most one-sided team I've ever seen.
Yeah, Clee doing the objective though. 13 captures. My God.
I think Taylor, you pointed this out, right? Defensive kills and offensive kills.
Yeah, I mean I think we saw that before in Halo 5, right? Where stronghold defenses, and then I guess we never saw offenses though. So the offensive kills is interesting. I mean, the thing that the stats, those guys mentioned it, it's all about the storytelling, and the stats help with that, right? You guys can look at it and you say, oh, based on what we watched, this is what actually happened, and you can see where the stats really do tell the story or really do give you more depth, and then where are things still lost. But the fact that they keep adding more and more to them really help fill that out. So being able to see how often you're able to play offense versus defense, because that's going to be huge. The damage taken, I love that one, right? You have and it depends, because the damage taken can either be, you're just really always in a bad position, so you're taking a lot of damage, but there could be other scenarios in which, oh, you're actually, basically baiting yourself, or you're being used as bait, you're still able to live, right? Having the 1 or 2 people down is going to be massive in this game, and I think that these stats like really help tell that story as well.
Yeah, max killing spree, that's something new, right? Other than seeing a medal for a killing frenzy, there was no way to see how close you were to the next medal, right?
No, they used to have that.
Okay.
I don't know if it was
we saw that.
It used to be,
Okay.
though. Yeah.
Grenade kills, headshot kills, melee kills, power weapon kills, that's all pretty standard.
Standard.
Yeah.
Yep.
How do we feel about headshots to melee? That's pretty good, right? You want more headshot kills and melee
More
kills,
info.
right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think that's all.
Accuracy?
Nice accuracy, bro. Ooh, cleat, man.
Shots hit,
Shooting
shots fired,
34.
man. I still love it, honestly.
Yep. That's something that's come back, and
Call out
it's
a
something that I always wanted.
Interesting. Nobody was pinging, huh?
Yeah, I was like, that must come off the ping system, but I think when you're in,
Is the ping
you might see
system
that used by certain
enabled
teams.
in competitive?
It
Maybe
has
you
to
can't
be.
even turn it off.
I think it would be a great addition. I think teams that are able to
Yeah.
use it, I think that's gonna be great. Like just being able to ping someone, like right, or like be look at this spot and then like ping it. And
I don't think the top teams are going to need it, but it's going to be great for matchmaking.
Yes.
Because people don't want to use mics because, we know the aspect of esports where it can get super toxic. So people want to go in, just want to play a few games of comp, don't want to have to deal with the BS, and they want to call out with, the pings. I think it's a fantastic system.
Yeah, it makes it more viable, right? Because that was one thing when, again, talking about no radar and stuff, like the communication being so important. If you do just go in as a solo queue and you don't want to use your mic, or even you do want to use your mic, but like you're not on the same like communication wavelength as the randos you matched with, like having that ping system is just a ubiquitous like blanket, like, hey, use the ping system, right? Like, and I think we should all learn to use it, right? As amateur players, especially, like that is sort of the foundation for communicating with your team. And of course, as you get better and better, you won't need that.
Yep, precisely. And it's going to be great for social use as well. Like, it's just across the board. It's just a good thing to have. And, it's something that... Where did we first see it in all of video, like, multiplayer gaming? Like, it was Battlefield, right? Battlefield? I think Battlefield had the first pings. Maybe. I don't know.
It might have.
But
we saw it in Apex,
popularized it.
Yeah, Apex made it massive. For sure.
Because Apex finally implemented it in a way that it was useful. Every other game, it was like not useful at all. It was like in Halo 5, they added a ping system into Halo 5. It was just the worst, not usable thing ever. You can also say League of Legends. Yeah, it's not like a traditional ping. It's like a ping, as in like you can make a dot appear over your head to like signify that you need help if you click down on the D-pad.
Here's a question: Are you guys spending money on cosmetics, post game animations and stuff?
Post game
is that confirmed? Like, are these things that you can buy?
Oh yeah,
because we got to mix it up. I think.
Sure. I just think they have to have some really flashy things. Like if they had a guy like teabagging, I'd probably buy that.
Ooh.
Or if they had like some really fun ones. I think I'm really interested to see what kind of gun skins they'll have and stuff. And I wonder if if we'll have access to them on LAN. I think that's another big thing. Is like, I think I'd be way more likely to buy something if I can wear my skins on LAN, or if they just unlocked all the skins.
That would be dope.
LAN, what we want
yeah,
to play.
I think they'll unlock everything.
That's interesting. I feel like that also opens up bugs, right? Because I feel like certain cosmetics could have bugs attached to them, especially if they're constantly adding new ones. We saw that very similar thing happen in Fortnite a lot. Sometimes they release something new and then they would have to take it back for a week and then give it back out plus a little extra because they took it away from me.
Would these be animations like in game, or are we thinking like just on like post game screens and stuff like that?
You know what? This is a great topic. I would love the ability to have more what are they, AI voices, right? It'd be cool if there were a lot of them, right? And varying like intensities, let's say. I think that would be really cool, right? Because it makes it more like kind of arcade like, which I think is huge. And then I do see, I think that there's room like for emoting and stuff in the game. We see it in other titles, and I don't see why it can't be done in Halo, in my opinion, especially if it's everything, all the animations seem to be done right now, right? Like you can get in a Warthog, jump out of it. It's nice and smooth, right? It seems that if you get hit in the head in the middle of your animation, you're gonna die from a headshot, right? Where also we saw people jumping from cliffs, landing in vehicles, and the animation was like this kind of smooth, like getting the seat sort of thing, right? So like I feel like, you know, the door's wide open for that sort of thing. I think it would be really cool.
Why not have Golden Boy or Puckett or somebody that's super, you know, famous in the game at all times? I'd pay for that. I'd 100% pay for Puckett always calling out my game.
Yeah.
It's that simple. That's how you get my money right there.
I want a good, like, deep Mexican voice, like, double guacamole. I don't know. Who the hell knows, bro? Like, it would just, like, I think that it opens the door to have a lot more fun with the game, right? Because it is arena, right? So let's be real. Like, it's a little more stale than, like, a battle royale. But these are ways that you can really just, like, you know, help people identify themselves, right? Like, you can play the game how you want to play it and make it more fun for you, I think.
Yeah,
maybe the voice actors would do a Spanish version of all of the things that they have to go through all the languages. Like it's an actual, like, you know, they have to get paid, you know, to do it all. And
having the ability to control how your multiplayer voice sounds. You know how, like, you can turn on or off the multiplayer callouts, right? That kind of emit from the game. According to what happens, right? It'd be cool if you can control that, because I've heard some interesting ones, and they kind of just seem to vary by coincidence, right? Where I can't think of any of them specifically, but I know a lot of people were laughing at, like, over yonder, like stuff like that. It'd be cool if you could choose, like, how your player sounds to other people. You know, that would be really cool too.
Yeah. I know that they said in that video that that's turned off for competitive, that there will be no battle chatter. And competitive, which is good.
Yeah, makes sense.
I'm just gonna say, man, year 7 of this game, you know, like, when we're getting to the tail end of this title, there's gonna be some waifus for AIs. We're gonna see some Cortana lookalikes on those pads. We're gonna hear some voices. It's gonna be some full weeb things in 7 years from now. I'm gonna put it down right here. I'll put it down for future bet.
We gotta have Cortana. Why don't we have a Cortana? Why was that not a
She's
thing
missing.
in Halo 5?
She's missing, right?
Yeah, she's not there yet. Yeah, they haven't found her.
Oh,
after day one,
busy,
you gotta go find her, and then you gotta bring her back, Nighty. That's your job on day one.
That's my new mission. That's my mission in life.
I'll be getting champ in the playlist. You'll be finding Cortana. It's all good.
I'll already have it. Don't worry about it. I'll already have it. Don't worry about that.
Alrighty, boys. Any last thoughts? Taylor, sounds like there's something you got to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the last point that I want to make that has everything to do with this. It has to do with everything that's gone on in Infinite and what we've seen so far, both out of the competitive team, and out of just the devs in general, is that the sandbox is becoming so much more accessible to everybody. We saw it in the settings of the flights. You can change a whole bunch of stuff. It looks like they're properly, like, modulating it so that, you know, whatever needs to be tweaked can be tweaked. Whatever needs to be added on to can be added on to. And that's going to be true, obviously, for the free-to-play multiplayer, but especially as they, you know, launch into this campaign, which I think there's a lot of crossover there, too, with lore and fun stuff like emotes and voices and things like that. It's all going to be just, they're going to leave themselves wide open to do whatever they want, and the community will be able to do that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, one of the settings that I noticed, right, is not only movement speed, but strafe increase percentage. I think it was called something like that. By default, I think it was set to 10%, which is good, right? That's very thoughtful, I would say, for people on mouse and keyboard, right, where you're just stuck with this analog sort of like on or off positioning. But the percentage increase actually makes it more natural, I think. And so, you know, maybe these things can be tweaked, right? I've seen Frosty, for instance, mentioning movement quite a lot as far as strafing goes, right? Maybe these things can be tweaked a little bit. Maybe they're perfect. I don't know. I think only time will tell, right? We have to get our hands on the game and play competitive.
Yep. Yeah, testing these settings is going to be vital. I mean, I know that, you know, they've been tested, you know, very well by the pros, but, you know, the whole community really needs to come together and be like, okay, this is it. You know, this is really what we all want to play on. All of the pros, the whole community as one needs to be like, this is exactly how we want to be competing in Halo. And I feel like already we're headed down that path. I think there just needs to be tiny little adjustments here and there, and then we'll be good to go. But you know, I'm going to harp on it again. If we get some good competitive maps, then this game is going to be solid for the next decade.
Yeah. Here's a quick question: if you're a competitor, do you spend time playing the settings that they're going to give you out of the box, kind of doing what mom and dad tell you, or are you going to spend time tweaking and finding something that's more fun or more suited for competitive?
If you're a competitor, then you have to
Yeah,
play
it's your job.
It's your job. But then you've got people like us. You've got people, in the community that are running tournaments that it's going to be their job to be testing, and it's going to be the forger's job to be testing, how the settings react with what they're creating. So across the board, it's there's not just one type of person like the pros. It's not all on their shoulders. It's everybody.
Very true. And it's also important to note, right, that we're not going to have Forge mode, but we will have custom game menu, which is, like we've been mentioning, very customizable. That's huge.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to all the little intricacies, what we see out of Infinite, because I'm sure there's going to be some things that we haven't even thought about that 343 is going to come up with. Obviously, we haven't seen the Observer. I'm very excited about that. There's different tools that we're going to be working with that ultimately are going to just make this the best type of customizable experience. That's what Halo has always been. It's like, when you look at the population, is the customizable stuff. That's what lasts in Halo, is how the community will create and build something that can just improve year after year, and we can just really be able to explore everything that they've given us, because that's really the ticket. And especially being on PC, where it's moddable and you can do whatever you want. I mean, that is just the essential experience that we've been waiting almost 20 years for.
Right. I don't think they mentioned this, but I believe, based on the footage that we watched, that he was playing on a PC. There was one point on his death screen, right, that I think he touched the mouse, right, and you could switch players with the mouse. So I assume that he was playing on a PC, which is that aligns right with the championship settings, I should say, for the LAN event, right, where the championship bracket is going to play on PC, basically, right?
Yep. I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue with the Switch. I know a lot of people are irritated about that, but I don't see why, because it's like you can only get so high as far as your frames and your performance. And I feel like with the new generation of hardware, that's going to be reached. You're going to reach that pinnacle. It's going to be smoother. It's always going to be smoother on PC. You cannot help that. But I don't think it's going to really cause that difference people are going to be talking about. I think that it's pretty much going to be a good transition, especially on LAN.
Yeah, and one thing I want to say, though, is that it feels unfair to someone like me who would like to compete on keyboard and mouse, having to go through an Xbox Series X through the open bracket on a keyboard and mouse. Sounds like a nightmare, to be honest. And just to make it to the championship, you might not even be able to make it if there's any sort of input lag. I didn't test it on the Series X with a mouse and keyboard. I know that those are options, if I'm not mistaken. But I
haven't heard anything about that. Were people doing that?
Playing on mouse and keyboard on the Series X? I believe it's an option, but I could be wrong.
No, you can do that.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't test it. But I will say, though, that sounds unfair to me. If I'm a keyboard player, I mean, if I'm using a mouse and I'm only getting 60 frames compared to being used to, let's say, 240 on my PC at home, I feel like that's a major difference.
I mean, it is, but you're going to be getting 120, which compared to 144 is still a difference. But like the Series X will do 120 for the game. And the question is, what? That's the thing, is that they haven't told us what monitors we're playing on yet, or what PC specs there are. Like we don't even know if the monitors at the LAN are going to have 120 refresh rates. And like that's actually what's most important. And that's where the competitors are like, okay, I need to know what monitor I'm playing on, because that's going to be your most important purchase, in my opinion. When we're moving to this game, because we're going to a higher refresh rate, we need to know whether it's going to be a 120 hertz or if they're going to be playing on 144 or 240 on the main stage. Like what's going on over there is the monitor is going to change between open and championship bracket. There's a lot of questions still up in the air about the logistics and the equipment that's going to be used on LAN.
I definitely agree.
We're 2 months out.
Almost on the dot, right? 2 months, and then a month and a half to release, I would say. Kind of. They're about 2 months from a piece. They're like evenly right down the middle.
I'm excited, man.
If it's December 14th, we're what, 6 days in, 6 days out, 6 days in from the release, 6 days out from the land. That's gonna be a grind right there, man. I fully expect to see some competitors live for about 20 hours a day, 4 hours of sleep. I don't know how you attack that schedule right there, honestly.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. At least we know what the competitive settings are, and we'll have maps. And like 90 said, I mean, maps are just like, this game could be the best Halo game out there if they have good maps. It could also turn into one of the worst if we have no maps, right? So
get 6 or 7 unique original competitive maps, and then make the remakes of the best ones in the Halo series. Like Midship, you got to bring it back. It's the best Halo map there is. Have that. Make sure that you use it as much as possible, because it can go well with the Oddball, it can go well with Strongholds. Who knows? We can test it all on it. And then, you know, you got the mainstays in Halo 3, and then it was also in Halo 4, like Pit. You bring them all back. You know, there's no reason really not to. You can make them DLC, you know, whatever. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
I'm sure we'll get a lot of those maps as DLC later on. I hope that we have like, at least 10 good arena maps to work with start that are original, and then like maybe like 2 maps from every game, like off launch. Then we can get more as it rolls in. But I'd love to see maybe something like Coliseum and Plaza make a return from Halo 5.
Ooh.
I think Halo 5, that's one thing Halo 5 had great, was Halo 5 had some banger maps. In my opinion, absolutely. I know a lot of people like to go to Halo 3. Halo 3 had the best maps of all time. I honestly believe, like, competitive wise map design, Halo 5 was the pinnacle of the series. I think we had just absolutely incredible maps, and they chose the right maps to remake and put into the game. And that's something that needs to happen for Halo Infinite. We can't go back to like Halo 2 Anniversary, where we're playing the same 3 maps over. And we're playing best of 7s, where you can see a map in the series 4 times.
Yeah, Reach really suffered from that. Halo 4 suffered from that. H2A, like you said, suffered from that. Even though they did have 2 bangers, like we got 2 really good classics, but still it just wasn't enough. I couldn't believe we had Midship. I'm going to forget about that. But yeah, you're right. Halo 5, that's one of the things that had me coming back, is like, maybe I didn't really like the gameplay as much, like with the thruster and the ground pound and all of that. You know, that wasn't Halo for me, but the maps were too good to ignore. I wanted to play on them, and that was what the thing that made it last for me. That's why I've been casting Halo 5 for 5 to 6 years now, and I haven't gotten tired of watching it. The maps make all the difference. So here's fingers crossed.
Yeah, I guess one thing to note, right? No glimpse of thruster yet. We've seen it in a leak, right, or a bug.
Thank you, Lord.
During during the technical flight, right? But in this competitive gameplay that they gave us, there's been no thruster, at least in sight. Yeah,
Happy day.
Yeah, that was a creepy smile there. And just having to look over, it was, yikes. I'm joking. All right, guys, it's been an hour. Any last thoughts?
Put Radar back in the game. Let's go.
Ooh.
I think we'll see the debate rage on for the next couple weeks about the Halo. Like, honestly, a lot of people that came up in Halo 5 that really enjoyed the HCS radar, because I'm on that boat. I think the HCS radar is a great radar. I think every other competitive game gives you a map to tell you where your teammates are. You see it in Valorant, you see it in CSGO, you see it in Call of Duty. I think it's fine. You know, it's okay to adapt and move on from this whole, we have to have no radar, we have to rely on communication. I think all it does is it increases the skill ceiling to let the best players be the best. And I really want to see some sort of easy to use thing that will let you know exactly where your teammates are off spawn, so that you can make the best informed decision right from the get-go. I know a lot of people won't agree with me, but honestly, I think it makes the game so much better to watch and to play when you're able to have that information available.
Okay, Zoomer.
All right, 90, let's hear it.
Yeah, I am so happy. Today has been like Christmas morning. I've been playing with these settings, these exact same settings, on Halo 5 PC and on Infinite Maps. And I've been having a blast. I've been top fragging. I don't like to, brag too much, but, it's just I'm ready for this game. This game is glorious. I loved every second of the flights, and it's going to play beautifully. What we just witnessed is only a sample. We are about to see some of the greatest Halo esports we have ever seen.
Yes, we
Very
are.
nice.
And I, to reiterate, I'm super happy with this as well. Like, this is, right out the gate, I think it's going to be really good. Before, December 8th, before Raleigh, though, I want to see the maps, some overview layouts of the maps and where, like, spawn locations are for some weapons and stuff. I think, these competitors and players need to be, like, actually brushing up on their skills even when they can't play the game. It's my biggest concern is that, we're only going to have a week and a half, and I want to still see top-tier competitive play right out the gate at Raleigh. But other than that, like, so happy, 343 doing their due diligence, bringing in all the best to, make informed decisions and counsel and design. So, like, I think with every new thing that's released, my expectations keep getting higher because they keep delivering.
Absolutely, you heard it here. Get us a "This is how you get good at Halo" handbook before the game comes out. We'll have Shyway endorse it, and we'll have Tony narrate it.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
There we go.
I don't want to create any theories, though. But what if
Right.
they NDA'd the top orgs? They NDA'd them and said, hey, here's an early build. Why don't you guys practice a little bit and let them have the first few
nice.
competitive maps?
That would absolutely ruin the competitive integrity of the first tournament.
I mean,
So unfair.
hey, it's pay to win, baby.
I was gonna say, what are we paying for here?
I would be if I was like if I was Kansas City Pioneers, I'd be so pissed off. It would be like, they got like 2 weeks of practice. Like, come on.
Be like, wait a minute, y'all did what? Nah, forget about it. I was just kidding.
I'll say it. I think that we need a competitive ranked flight. Get us it
Yeah,
1 month before release, November 8th.
please.
Yeah, I like it.
Custom games,
Yeah.
That'd be hype. That'd be hype.
observer mode. Asking for a little
Oh,
much.
server mode. Money Tuesday, baby.
There we go. There we go. All right, everybody. That's going to do it for this iteration of our show, our reactionary show. It's been about an hour, so we're going to go ahead and get off. I don't think that we could talk. Actually, I think that we could talk way more about these sort of things, but we're just splitting hairs at this point. There's plenty to talk about, but you guys, thank you to HCS for getting us this. Thank you for getting us, one full round of gameplay. That's huge because it answers a lot of questions, and it actually kind of leaves the door open for a little speculation. And that's all that we're asking for here. That's going to do it for us. God bless everybody. Have a good one.